Today we're diving into couching stitch. I'll start off right away with explaining and showing it as simple as I can. And then afterwards we'll talk more in depth and I'll show you how you can use it to cover a larger area. Couching is essentially a method of attaching a thread or yarn on top of your fabric using a second thread that tacks it down. It's perfect for when your decorative thread is too thick to pass through the fabric or when you want a very clear control over your lines. I'll start out by demonstrating this with a straight line. Get your fabric stretched out, then draw out your line. Here I use chalk. For a cleaner look, I want to keep my stitches evenly spaced, and I use another color of chalk to point out where I want the stitches to go. Then I attach my larger base to the needle and push it through at the start of my line. Then I take the smaller yarn, here a sewing thread, and thread that onto another needle as well. Then I make it come up at the first mark I made in the other color chalk. I come up with the thinner yarn just above the line and I want to sew it down just below the line with the base yarn at the middle so it attaches to the fabric. You can use matching thread for an invisible effect or contrasting thread for a decorative one. Make sure the couching thread is tight enough to hold the decorative thread in place, but not so tight it causes puckering. I do this all the way to the end of the line, and when I'm done, I take both the thread and the yarn to the back of the fabric and weave in the ends so they stick. As you can see here, straight lines are super straightforward, but couching really shines when you start curving. You can draw with your thread here. For the curvy demo, I'm not using my ruler. I just freehand a shape I like, and I place the dots where I believe they would follow the curve best. If you don't place your stitches at the places where they curve the most, you may not get a smooth enough line. But I try to keep them as evenly placed as I can. You can definitely measure here if that's what feels best for you. The curves really show how versatile this stitch can be, and you can use it to make whatever shapes you want with the thick yarn. This yarn would otherwise cause trouble trying to sew it onto the fabric. I like to wait until I'm done before I bring my base yarn to the back of the fabric. So then I can use it in the front to lift it up and down to get a clearer view on where my stitches have to go. I really love this stitch and I use it for all sorts of things. Now I'll show you how it can be used to fill an entire area, which will make it feel even more like you're painting with your yarn, and it creates the most wonderful texture. This is a project I'm currently working on with 6 stylized yarn cones with 6 different embroidery techniques. And the first one here is entirely out of couching stitch. First off, I obviously drew out my motif, and when doing so I paid a lot of attention to where I wanted my lines to go. Because when I'm stitching, I'm following the natural winding of the cone, so each line curves slightly to give it a more realistic look. The direction matters a lot here. If you have areas where the base yarn curves a lot, add in some more couching stitches to keep the yarn in control. I use metallic thread here because it really adds to the extra sparkle that I want in this piece. But that is usually pretty slippery and not very flexible, and it can be hard to work with. Maybe it's a good idea for you to start out with a cotton thread to experiment with this stitch. Oh, and by the way, couching isn't new. It's been used for centuries across cultures and techniques. In medieval Europe, goldwork embroidery often used couching to apply real metal threads, since those couldn't be pulled through fabric, obviously. In Japan, they use nihon shishu, which is a similar technique to attach flat silk and metallic cords. It's also been seen a lot of other different regions and in different time periods. So that's couching, one of the simplest yet most expressive stitches out there. Whether you're drawing a line or filling a whole cone of thread like I did, the possibilities are endless. If you learned something today, give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on textile art.